Hey everybody, it's Vanessa here at the Crafty Gemini Homestead, and in this video I want to share with you kind of an unboxing of my latest order from the Greenhouse Megastore. I want to show you what I got, why I bought it, and how I plan to use it for the fall and winter garden. So here in Zone 8B, I am in North Central Florida. It is the beginning of August 2021, and I am in full garden prep mode, which means I'm starting seeds, both for flowers, for vegetables to grow in the fall and winter garden here in our area. So I wanted to turn it around, show you what's growing, and talk a little bit about the 72 cell trays that I've been using for 10 years now to grow my seedlings. All right, so here's the first table of seedlings that I started this past week. So last week, maybe last 10 days of the month of July now in 2021. So if you see, one full tray like this is made up of these smaller 6-cell trays, okay, for a total of 72 cells. You can put one seed, multiple seeds, depending on what you're growing in each one of the individual cells. So this is how I've been growing them for a long time. Obviously, if you have a really small garden, maybe like 1 or 2 trays like this will give you enough to plant in the garden. And then also, like in the case of this one here, there's nothing that has sprouted so far. So like you end up with kind of some wasteful cells, but that way you can pick and choose the best ones, put them in your garden, things like that. So you don't really need that many of these. However, when you have a really large garden like I do, really quickly, even 20 of these trays is not quite enough, okay? So in my case, I have about 8 72-cell trays here. So that's hundreds of seeds that have been started. But this is not even close to everything that I'll be growing because I have both a mixture of vegetables here as well as flowers. So they're going to go in different places, and I definitely want to grow more food than I will be growing flowers. But I'll just give you kind of a quick overview of some of the things I have growing here, different types of cosmos, some sweet alyssums, gomphrenias. I have some coreopsis flowers, other varieties and different colors of the different flowers that I've already planted. I have a ton of zinnias planted here. I also have a ton of sunflowers planted, and then some yarrow, some baby's breath. I want to put together like a really nice cut flower garden this year, and because I am in North Central Florida, we won't get frost until way later in the year than most people that live further north than us, and so I will still have plenty of time to grow a ton of these different flowers before the first frost hits and it knocks everything back. Now, most of the trays that I just showed you are flowers. I do have a couple trays back here that I started for the veggies that I grow in the fall and winter. So let me turn the camera around and show you what I have started already and what types of things have sprouted. Keep in mind, again, I live in North Central Florida, hardy zone 8B. And so a lot of the things that I'm going to be able to grow during my fall and winter, if you live further north than me, you may not be able to do the same. So obviously, always do your research, you know, contact your local extension office and find out. Usually they have like a PDF or a printable document of some kind that tells you like month by month what you can plant and what you can grow in your area during specific times of the year. But if you are in a similar climate like I am, and maybe zone 8B, even zone probably still 7, you can probably still get away with some of this stuff at the same time. But again, if you're in a hotter climate, like say you live in South Florida, it's going to be different. It's going to be too hot for some of these cold loving weather crops. So again, it's hard to like give you details on every single thing and who needs to be doing what. I'm doing these videos a lot for people that are in my general area or in similar climates, because I have found, even doing my own research over the past decade, that there's not that much information on when and what to plant. And oftentimes the information included on the back of the seed packets is for people who live in colder zones than I do. So I'm just going to be here sharing with you my experience and what I do here in North Central Florida. So let's have a look at what seedlings I have sprouted for veggies this year. All right, so for my greens, I have 2 varieties of kale planted here. This is Dino Kale and this is Dazzling Blue Kale, some of my favorite varieties. I have some red acre cabbage planted back here, then golden acre cabbage. So obviously this is a red cabbage, that is more of a white green cabbage. And then early Jersey Wakefield cabbage, which I've grown for several years, and that one tends to do good here. And then Tokyo Bacana, this is a mustard green, but it's such a mild tasting mustard green that we often eat it as a lettuce here. And it's pretty cool if you've never tried it, because it is a mustard green, it tends to tolerate the heat better. So for those of us in really warm and hot southern climates, it's really tricky to try and grow like regular lettuce in such a hot and humid climate because lettuce does like it to get cool. And so this is kind of an in-between for me. It's a mustard green, but it's so mild that it tastes like a lettuce and it can tolerate more heat. So I tend to grow it when I can't grow lettuce. So if you don't know what this is, check it out, Tokyo Bacana. You might like it as much as we do. Try growing it. And then in the tray right next to it here is where I have my cauliflowers, like different varieties of cauliflower, and then a couple varieties of broccoli that have already sprouted. Now it is so hot and humid here that it's always kind of an experiment to see if these cool weather loving crops are going to germinate on my back porch, is usually where I start them in such a hot and humid climate. They do sit on the back porch. At night it does cool off a little bit, but not really cool enough, right? So I can see that this variety, this Waltham 29 broccoli, none of those 12 cells have sprouted. However, the Goliath broccoli already took off, as well as the Bell Star broccoli variety. And I grew this one last year, and it tended to do well, you know, even on warmer days. And so in these types of climates, we're always looking for stuff that's more heat tolerant, and that we can start and actually grow with hotter temperatures. So it's a good idea to play around with different varieties until you kind of find, by trial and error, what does best in your climate. Okay. So I showed you what I have started so far, and it is August 1st, 2021. Now, I was talking a little bit earlier about the unboxing from the Greenhouse Megastore package that I just got, and that is in this big box right here. And this is not a sponsored video or anything. This is just where I like to get a lot of my supplies for the greenhouse, the garden, the homestead, all that kind of stuff. I tend to find that they ship super quick, really affordable prices, and the quality of the stuff is great. So that's where I bought this from. And so what I wanted to show you was what I actually bought, and this is gonna be my first time trying it out. Remember we talked about the 72 cell trays, these regular ones that I tend to use there? Well, when you're growing a ton of, say, one type of crop or flower, I was looking for something with even more cells. Instead of 72, I'm like, how much bigger do these trays get, and how many of one type of thing can I put in there? Because especially for a flower garden, if I want to grow, I don't know, 100 of one variety of sunflowers, I don't want to have like a 72 cell tray and then part of one. I want to be able to cram in as many as I can in one tray, and that way when I'm transplanting them into the actual ground in the garden, I can just kneel down with a full big tray and just go boom, 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 and pop each one of them in the ground when I'm ready to do that. So let's head over to this box, let's open it up and show you what I got. Okay, so we have more trays, but I'm so excited to try these out. These are 128 cell trays. Can you see how much smaller? Let me grab one of these guys off and show you how much smaller. I gotta separate these. How much smaller they are, okay? So a whole lot less soil to use up, but still more plants that I can get across one tray. And this is what I'm talking about. If I want to put in, say, half and half, okay? 64 of one variety of flower and 64 of another, I can then plant them in here, boom, and just take the whole tray with me when I'm ready to transplant them. The only thing you have to keep in mind, and this is one of the reasons I'm doing this, is that the bigger the cell, the longer the seedling can grow in here before it's time to transplant it. So if you've seen me or watched my videos for years, you know that I usually will take them out of here and sometimes into the garden, depending on the crop. But sometimes I go from here into, let me grab one, a slightly larger pot, either a 3-inch pot or a 4.5-inch pot, something like this, right? So this will then obviously takes a lot more work if you're doing this for tons and tons of crops, because not only are you spending the time to fill the trays, plant the seeds, but then you have to also spend more money, more soil, more time to transplant them into a bigger pot, so that you buy yourself time for the plant to grow in here, and then say you're waiting for the soil to warm up or whatever, then you can take it out into the garden. Because in something like this, if you leave it in here too long, it can easily get root bound, and then you're stunting the growth. You can run into issues. If they get tall in here and they're too close together with not enough air circulation in between the seedlings, you can run into issues where you start getting fungus issues and things like that, which for me is common because we're, again, in a very hot and humid climate here in North Central Florida. So these are all the little things that you have to keep in mind. So I'm super excited to try this out. All I need to keep in mind is that if I start, say, sunflowers here, which grow super quick, I need to be ready. When that plant is a little bit, you know, maybe 3 inches tall or so, I need to have the area that I'm gonna plant them in ready to be transplanted into the garden, but 128 cells per tray. I'm super excited to try these out. Now these are just like the cell trays by themselves. They are kind of sturdy though, they're pretty strong, but I would not wanna be picking up my stuff one tray at a time. Let me see, because I think when I did read it, it said that they could be just, yeah. See, that is kind of strong. They don't bend that easily, and I'm trying to kind of bend it. That's kind of cool. I guess I'll play around with it and see if I can just plant them like this, and then, meaning, you know, I take care of the seedlings once they're in there and then take them over to the garden without one of these trays. But then I always buy these trays because I like to get both. The kind that have the holes in them so that the water can drain out is if you're watering from above, or if you place them inside one of these that doesn't have holes, you can water from the bottom with the other, you know, with whether it's 72 cells or these 128 cells. So I'm excited to try these. I bought some with the holes, and then down here somewhere I should have ones that don't have holes. These guys are pretty heavy. Yeah, so you can see that one doesn't have holes. So I bought like 10 and 10, or maybe 20 of one kind. Yeah, I can see the split here. I bought 20 that have holes, these guys, and 10 extra heavy duty ones that don't have holes. And I use them for different things, right? You know, once you start gardening, you kind of get an idea of what you need for what purpose. But I needed to restock a little bit on this, but I'm so excited to try out these 128 cells. If you have a homestead or a big garden, whether it's for veggies or cut flowers, let me know in the comments below what types of trays you use, how many cells, because I saw ones that were 96, 122, so they had like different number cells per tray. I thought the 128 would be a cool one to try out, so that's what I'm gonna start off with. And I will probably share a video with y'all. This is mostly gonna be for flowers, I think, because there's not one vegetable that I grow this much of. Maybe basil next spring and summer, but not for now, not for the fall. I won't grow that much. I'll grow basil for sure, but not that much. Anyways, I think these are gonna be for my flowers, so I will definitely film a video letting y'all know how that's going and show you how I do it for these guys, and maybe share my thoughts, since this will be my first time using the 128 cell trays. And I think that's gonna be it for this video. I just wanted to pop in, let you know what it's looking like August 1st here in Zone 8B, North Central Florida. I got a big order of seeds, so I think I'm gonna film another video for you going through and doing a seed haul so you can see what flowers and what veggies I plan to grow this fall and winter season 2021. Now, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your gardening and homesteading friends, and don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my future videos. Also, make sure to click the little bell icon. That will keep you informed every time I upload a brand new homesteading video for you. All right, so I will see y'all in the next video, and happy gardening. Bye.